Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So I have reached the peahen's wing feathers. That is what I'm going to be working on today. And yeah, once again, moved my whole frame over. So, pardon me. Yeah, so like I said, I might even get to her body and neck before the end of this month. We will see. Yeah, but doing the calculations at the rate I've been going, I probably won't be done by the end of this year. It's going to be early 2026, I think. Yeah. I don't want to stress myself out, so if I finish by the end of this year, that'd be great. If I don't, no problem. Yeah, I had someone comment recently, oh, to think I was thinking of taking up this hobby to relax, and oh my gosh, you know, how long does it take to do one of these? It's like, yeah, they are a big time investment, but it's still just the same process. Yeah, one X at a time. Although, yeah, like I said, there's a reason I don't do the super size, because those are huge. Yeah, instead of being like, say, you know, 400 by 500, they're like 1,000 on one side by like 700. So yeah, it's a ridiculous number of stitches. And while they do look amazing, I would prefer to get a few more projects done for the same number of stitches. So yeah, it's kind of a balancing act, because I don't want them to be too small, then they lose the detail, but I don't want them to be too overwhelmingly huge either, that I burn out because it takes so long to finish them. Yeah, plus I've been kind of busy this month. I finally went and I bought myself a film scanner, so I have been busy digitizing all of our old negatives. Yeah. It's been something I've been meaning to do for years, and so yeah, finally I did it. Yeah, I can tell the difference too when you had a good quality camera versus a not so good one, because yeah, some of them are a little washed out and not very well in focus, but the ones that were done of our wedding were done with a professional camera, and yeah, they are still perfectly crisp, as if they were taken yesterday, even though that was over 20 years ago. So yeah, like I said, you can tell the difference. Like my husband said, some of it might be that it's older and degraded, but yeah, like I said, the ones that we're taking with the professional camera are just perfect. So yeah, it's time consuming. And the other kind of annoying thing is because you put the negative into this holder and then you slide it into the scanner and then you scan the images. The only problem is dust likes to get in. So sort of every few strips of negatives that you do, you have to, yeah, there's a cleaning stick that you have to put in and make sure you wipe all of the dust and anything else, debris off of the lens, so that it doesn't end up in your image. Because yeah, there's a couple times I went and I captured the image and then went, oh wait, no, there's a fuzzy on it. And I knew, because as I was moving the negative sort of to go to the next picture, you could see that that little fuzzy bit didn't move, so that meant it was on the lens. Yeah, because there were a couple that I thought it was the lens, but it was actually, must have been captured with the picture. But yeah, every now and then, so that's a little time consuming. Yeah, like it's not a difficult process. It's pretty straightforward, and yeah, you slide it into the scanner, and then once you have the image, you know, centered the way you like, whoops, that's no good, then you press the button and it captures the image, and it has the options that you can flip it, you know, vertically or horizontally. You can adjust the brightness if you wish. So, because of course you can always do that on your computer later in like a, video editing or, picture editing like Photoshop or something. But yeah, it's kind of nice. So, because sometimes I don't know which way to orient the the negative when I put it in, and so it's upside down or backwards. So yeah, it's nice. Just a couple button clicks to fix it and then capture the image that way. So yeah, there were some really old ones that my husband had from before we met, when like he bought his own camera when he was like, 12 or something. So yeah, those pictures were super old, and yeah, a lot of them were fairly washed out. They were not the best quality, but like he said, it was a lousy camera. So yeah, because I remember there's a couple pictures we took on our honeymoon, and it was with one of those old disposable film cameras that they used to sell. I don't know if they still do those or not, but yeah, where they came preloaded with one roll of film, and you took the pictures and then you took the whole camera in, usually to the photo developing place, and they would do that. But yeah, it was a whole thing. So when we were kids, you took a picture and then you had to wait weeks, sometimes months, before you finished the roll of film and then were able to develop it to see if your pictures turned out. Yeah, now, you take the picture, it's right there on the screen. You can see it instantly, but yeah. Yeah, it wasn't like that before. There were a couple of I tried to take selfies with the film camera, but I held it definitely at the wrong angle because you were just guessing, right? And it's like, oh, look, there's a picture of just mostly my chin. Not the rest of me. Yeah, did not quite turn out. Or a lot of pictures where, yeah, it's not very tight to the people in the picture. You get a lot of background because, of course, again, yeah, we didn't really know what we were doing. So, like now that you take pictures with digital, you get instant feedback, right? So you can immediately see, oh, no, we should move up a little closer, or, oh, you had your chin hold up too high, and yeah. And then you can just sort of instantly retake them. But yeah, back then that wasn't a thing. Oh, actually, I should do these ones right now first as I go. Yeah, again, it is unseasonably warm today, which has made things rather, oh dear, there is a knot back there. I hope it is in this thread that I'm using right now, and not a previous one. Oh, I think, sounds like somebody might be home. Oh, yeah. Oh, rats. Nope. Okay, we're back. Yeah, our son's vehicle needs the oil changed, so yeah, my husband was just coming back to do that. So yeah, he drove kiddo to school and came back to switch vehicles so he can take the Jeep in to get the oil changed. Okay, there's the knot. Okay, good. Wasn't too stitched into. So we are good. All right. Oops. Okay, there we go. So we can fix that. Okay, let me just swap colors here. See where I parked it. I just gotta repark it there since it's not parked currently. Yeah, like I say, every few stitches sometimes I like to just run my finger over the back with the hand that's underneath, and then that way, if there are any knots or snarls or snags, I can catch them before they get stitched into, and then they become really, really difficult to remove, as I have learned from experience. Okay, so back to these ones. Just sort of holding that in my head. So it wasn't this thread, but luckily it was the thread that was just before that, so yeah. Okay, we are back on track. So yeah, like I said, looking previously when I was stitching the peahen, looking at the mock-up, I didn't realize there were quite so many little touches of blue and green along the edges of these feathers, but yeah. Like if you zoom in on the mock-up and look really closely, you'll see them, but yeah, when you're sort of looking at the whole thing, it wasn't as noticeable. And then yeah, when you're actually stitching them, I had a few times when I was doing the previous pass thinking, do I actually have the right color here? And really checking to make sure, because yeah, it was like, there's a pop of green right in the middle here. Just on sort of touching the edges of the feathers here on her wing. And then, yeah, oh, it was correct, so. Oh, let us not do that. But yeah, so there was some pictures in the stack there that I was showing my husband saying, man, I'd forgotten about this one, you know, and yeah. There was some silly ones because I remember we had a couple pictures left on the roll of film. And so we wanted to use them up and put in a fresh roll of film before we went. It was like on holiday or something, and yeah. So it says, yeah, you know, kids these days won't know what we're talking about. We said, yeah, use up the last picture on the roll of film, yeah. Because that was a thing. Now it's just, you don't want to run out of memory. But yeah. But yeah, I remember one time we were at some, I can't remember, some church thing or something, and somebody had one of the ones that would automatically wind the film up into the roll. You didn't have to manually do it, so that, yeah, it would just automatically click, wind all the way back, and then you could just pull the roll of film out and pop a new one in. And yeah, anyway, but it was really loud. So I remember we were at some ceremony or whatever, and the person took the picture, then click really loudly as the person was trying to, you know, speak. It was like, you could see them all cringing, like, whoops, because yeah, there wasn't anything they could do about it. It did it automatically. You couldn't make it pause until later. But yeah. Yeah, because they had some that auto advanced it too, and then we had the old-fashioned one that had the little wheel, and so yeah, when you finished a picture, you had to advance it until it clicked until the next one, and then yeah, take the next picture. And yeah, I remember actually my parents had a pretty fancy setup. It was like top of the line, you know, with the flash, and you actually had to charge it before you took the picture, and then after it took the picture, after the flash, it would make this wee sound. So yeah, it's like the sound of my childhood, remembering pictures being taken in that high-pitched whine after the flash went off. Yeah. And we didn't have autofocus because that wasn't a thing, so it had a little, I remember, it was quite an art to it. It had a little circle in the middle with two sort of sections, and you had to, you know, fiddle with the lens until you could get them to line up properly. So yeah, there was quite an art to it back then. My dad was really good. He was able to do that pretty quick, but yeah. So it was a big deal when we were kids. Mom, can we use the camera and take a picture? Because yeah, like it cost money to get that developed, and you couldn't undo it, right? Once a picture was taken. Yeah. So, but yeah, I remember that, having to go in and fill out those envelopes with your name and the date and how many prints you wanted and how big you wanted them, and if you wanted double prints and stuff. And then, yeah, putting your roll of film in, and then later when you picked it up, it would have the prints and the negatives. Yeah. And sometimes you got a couple of pictures of somebody else's instead of your own, because they made a mistake when they were counting out how many pictures and stuff. Yeah. And you had to pay for ones that were lousy, because yeah, we one time had a roll of film that must have been really old and degraded, and yeah, I think we only got about 4 or 5 successful pictures out of the whole roll. And there was one that actually looked kind of cool. It was my sister holding a flower, and you could just sort of see it almost looked like a silhouette with just, you could see maybe a quarter of her face and a little bit of the side of the flower, and the rest was all washed out. And yeah, but it was because it was old film that had, yeah, degraded, and so it wasn't good quality anymore. And, yeah, so like they looked really cool, but that wasn't really what we were going for. Yeah. And they told us that actually one recommendation was to store your film in the fridge because heat degrades it faster. So yeah, but so yeah, we didn't used to take as many pictures because of course it cost money. I remember once we had 2 Christmases on the same roll of film. Yeah, after we got it back for being developed, and I'm like, I don't remember getting this Christmas. And then, oh wait, this is last Christmas. Yeah. Like now we take pictures of everything, right? We document everything. With digital, you can take as many as you want as long as you have room to store it. But yeah, and I mean, you can also get the ones where you just swap out the memory card and then, yeah. But yeah, I found a few that were taken of old family reunions where it was put it on the tripod, set the timer, run back into the picture, right? So that you ended up in it, yeah. Yeah, some from 2002, 2003. A couple of them I had to guess on the dates because, yeah, there's no metadata in those days. And like I said, because we were kind of conservative with how many pictures we took, yeah, I couldn't be sure exactly which year they were taken. There were some, and it was just, I'd look at it and say, okay, well, this was when we were living in the military housing, so it had to be 2002 to 2004, because those were the years we lived there, yeah. But, yeah, other than that, I just had to guess. And yeah, looking at the pictures, like, holy cow, we were so young. Like, I think some of the pictures, my husband's parents were the age in them that we are now, right? So yeah, that is one thing I kind of like with digital cameras, and so we take more pictures because, yeah, for future generations, right? It will be nice to have more pictures of your family and stuff. Yeah. We had a lot of pictures that were taken of us sitting around a table around a fancy meal because every Easter, Thanksgiving, or Christmas, my mother-in-law always wanted a picture of it. And so, yeah, there were a lot where it was just like, I have no idea which holiday this was. Like, there were even some I thought it was the same one until I realized, oh no, we're wearing different clothes, so it must have been a different holiday. But I didn't know which one it was, yeah. But yeah, there was a picture of me with long hair that I had taken right before I had my hair cut really short, and I have never had my hair that long since. It was down past my elbows. Yeah. Yeah, I wore it really long in high school for a while. I had it was down past my waist, and I trimmed it because otherwise you sit on it and it's, yeah, not comfortable. The real fun is when you sit on it in those plastic school chairs and then it gets caught in the screws and then you try to stand up and yeah, yo! It was not fun. Yeah. But yeah, I can't believe I used to do that because my hair was so thick too. Teenager. And yeah, I would put my hair up and the bun would be as big as my head sometimes. And it was like, no wonder I had neck pain, you know? Yeah. Now even my hair gets to shoulder length and I get sore putting it up. It's like, okay, time to cut it again. Yeah. The older I get, the shorter my hair gets because I just can't be bothered. Yeah, long hair was a lot of work. So yeah, I remember when I finally had it cut like to chin length, and the stylist was just like, "You sure? You know, you absolutely sure? Because once I start cutting, it's, you know, you can't undo it." But yeah, no, it was. Yeah, I have never done it that long because yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, and it was like annoying sometimes. My husband would accidentally lie on my hair, and then I'd try to turn over in my sleep, and then yow. So yeah, not anymore. Yeah, plus I said I'm really short, so super long hair actually kind of makes me look shorter. So yeah, which I did not know that was a thing. But yeah, now looking back at pictures, it's like, oh yeah, it actually did. That's not the right one. There we go. Yep. Yeah, so I'm still in the midst of doing that. I still have about 100 more wedding photos to scan. So yeah, I've been sitting there with something playing on the TV in the background while I do that. Yeah. And of course, after I have them all scanned onto my computer, I'm going to have to go in and rotate all the vertical ones. And yeah, there's a couple I kind of have to crop them because when I scanned them, I got sort of like a millimeter of empty blank, and it's dark against the edge. So yeah, to kind of crop that out if I didn't get it perfectly centered. So yeah, I gotta go do that. Yes, and there's of course some pictures where people's eyes are red. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't really seem to happen anymore with digital cameras, but with the old film, especially if you had lighter colored eyes, that tended to happen. It was the retina. Yeah, the flash would kind of illuminate it. And yeah, because I remember, yeah, trying to take pictures of my niece, and it was really hard trying to get a picture that didn't have red eye because she had light blue eyes. And so, yeah. It was funny one time. My mother-in-law, she bought this pen that was to help fix the red eye on the actual print itself. It did not work, and so she tried to do it, and on one of her sons, he looked like his eyes were bugging out of his head like a cartoon. So it looked so funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the ooga. And it was actually one of the Thanksgiving pictures. So I said, wow, you know, he was really eager to eat that turkey, you know. Oh. Yeah, although I went through all the negatives, and I think some of the negatives we had, I must have misplaced them because I know there's some pictures we have that were not in that group because I tried to keep them all together, kept them in a fireproof box so that, right, if there's ever a fire, if you have your negatives, well, you can just have your pictures reprinted, right? You won't lose them that way. And of course, that's why I'm now digitizing them because, yeah, then they'll be backed up that way as well. Because, yeah, a couple years ago, my husband went and digitized all our old camcorder stuff. It wasn't on tapes, it was on these discs. They were like half the size of a DVD. Yeah, and yeah, that was, you would have to film it, and then once it was done, you would have to, what was the word now? Anyway, somehow process it so that it was permanently etched onto the disc. And so you had to put it aside, make sure it wouldn't get bumped because that could ruin it. And then I think it was called Finalize. Yeah. And leave it to process for about an hour. And then it would be done. Yeah. And interestingly, the more blank space that was left on the disc, the longer it took to finalize. You would think it would be the opposite, right? That when it's full, there's more information on it and it would take longer. But I guess it had to like overwrite blank onto the parts that weren't used or something. I don't know. I'm not a technical person, so yeah. But yeah, I remember that because we bought it and then they tried to sell us an extended warranty for it. And they said, oh yeah, you know, you can bring it in for cleaning and they'll clean out the tape track and everything. And I'm like, tape track? This runs on discs, right? This was early 2002. Yeah. Yeah, we got it because we didn't have a way to do moving film, just still pictures. And our son was born, or 2007, yeah. And our son was born that year. And we wanted to be able to capture, right, his baby moments. So, yeah, we invested in a camera because this was before everyone had a smartphone, right? It was kind of frustrating, though, because it had a little view screen that popped out on the front, on the side. And you could turn it around so that you could see it from the front. Well, when my son was a toddler, he realized he could see himself. And so every time we tried to film him, he'd be like, baby? See, baby? Because he wanted to see himself. And I was like, but I wanted to film what you were doing. Nobody wants to watch you watching yourself, you know, because he was fascinated by it because unlike a mirror, there was a bit of a delay because, of course, it needed to, right, process it and then display the picture on the screen. So yeah, like I said, it was a bit delayed and he was just fascinated by that. Yeah. So there's a lot of video of him sort of like moving his hand back and forth and stuff because he was fascinated by the fact that it wasn't, instantaneous like a mirror, right? So there was a lot of video of me starting in the hallway and kind of sneaking into the living room trying to catch whatever he was doing on camera before he saw me. Yeah, and again, those were not the best quality. The color was not quite right. All of them, they look a little like shadowy. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm glad we have it because, yeah, you can't get those moments back, right? Yeah. So, yeah, we digitized those. So I said the only thing we need to find a way to digitize is our wedding video because it was filmed on the old 8mm camcorder film. Yeah, because that was 2002. So, yeah, I'll have to look into how to do that. Because, yeah, tape is really bad for degrading, and so I would like to have it digitized so that we don't lose it. Yeah, that's not replaceable. Yeah, it kind of sucked because the 8mm ones were not, they were only half an hour. And so, yeah, our wedding video has a lot of stuff cut off in the middle of speeches, unfortunately, because, yeah, the tape ran out and then they had to quickly change it. But of course, by then, yeah. Yeah, it will be 23 years end of this month, which is just hard to believe. It's flown by. Yeah, it's actually wild because seeing old pictures of my husband now that our son is approaching that age, they look very similar. Yeah. Yeah, the kiddo has some of me in there, but he's mostly his dad's clone, at least in looks. Yeah. So. Yeah, I said it. You see more my grandpa in him than you see me, actually, even though obviously that came from my side, but yeah. Okay. Just trying to decide which I want to go where. So I think I'm going to travel this one all the way downwards. I'll use a different thread for those few that are there. Yeah. Rather than going up and back down, but could do either way. interesting who kids take after, because I look a lot like my mom, and my sister and I look very similar. People thought we were twins when we were little, and but my sister and my mom don't look that much alike. Yeah, it's kind of funny how there's small little differences, but they add up. So it's because people would always comment when I was with my mom, "Oh wow, your daughter looks just like you." Yeah, but not so much with my sister, even though, yeah, people mistook us for each other a lot. So yeah, go figure, right? We had some friend who, she could tell us apart by our hairstyles, and then one time we switched and I wore the pigtails, and so then she thought I was my sister. Stuff. Yeah, it was funny. Our voices are very similar too. One time my mom talked to me on the phone for like 20 minutes, and she thought I was my sister. It was funny. This was when I was a teenager, and she's like, "Okay, well, go practice your violin." I'm like, "I don't play the violin." She's like, "Wait a minute, who is this?" Yeah, because we both took piano lessons, but my sister also took violin lessons, which I did not. So, yeah, it's funny. Our own mother couldn't tell us apart sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how some people, they change a lot from when they were kids, and some people don't. They just look like bigger versions, right? But yeah, there's some kids who change a lot when you see their little kid pictures. It's like, wait, that's you? Yeah. Yeah, same. My husband looks a lot like his dad. And then the next oldest sibling, they looked fairly alike. But the second one, oldest one, doesn't really look like dad much. He looks more like mom. So yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, my mother-in-law was saying there was 1 year, because my husband and the next oldest are just over a year apart. And my husband was always taller until 1 grade. Over the summer, his brother shot up like, 6 inches, and his voice changed. And so that they said when they went back to school the next September, there were kids who didn't even recognize him. Yeah, because he had changed so drastically. Yeah, and now his brother has been taller ever since. By several inches, too. Yeah, so. Because, yeah, my husband's 5'9", his brother is 6'4". So, yeah, you do the math, that's quite a lot. Yeah, his mom said his brother, he saved it all up for one big growth spurt instead of gradually. Yeah. Yeah, my son's about close to 5'7". I don't think he's going to get much taller, but I said, yeah, considering what you got from your mom, that's not surprising. I'm only 5'3". My mom is, well, she says she's 5 foot tall, but she's, I think, shrunk a bit. She's like 4'11" now, so yeah, she is tiny. Yeah, so I often say my dad is 5'6", I think, or 5'8". I can't remember, but yeah, I say with what I had, I think it's 5'6". So I say with what I had, yeah, 5'3" actually wasn't bad. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I've gained any height since I was 12. I thought I still had time through high school to get taller, but turns out, nope. That is where you're gonna stay. Okay. Oh, whoops, darn it. Yeah, so as the peahen is standing with the feathers going this way, we end up pretty close to my normal diagonal, whereas when I was stitching the peacock's tail, it went the other way. Yeah. So yeah, kind of stitching sort of one feather motif at a time. They kind of overlap like scales, so yeah. Nope, that's not right. Just see 1, 2, 4. Oh no, that should be over one more. Yeah, I knew something didn't look right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Nope. Should be down another. My gosh. I tell you, I can't count today. Or no, that is right. So 3. Yeah, okay. And this is why I grid, because yeah, I will mess up my counting otherwise. So yeah, kind of looking, I will probably work about as far as maybe here and fill in and then shift over, but I will decide sort of as I stitch as usual. I loosely plan ahead, but not a lot, so. Okay. Oh, almost missed that one in the corner there. Yeah, so I think, I'll have to look again, but I think I started this around May of 2023, so yeah. I'll have to double check, but I think that's what it was. Okay, 3:15. Well, I say that, but I mean, that was after that left corner was done of about, I think it was like 8,000 stitches or something like that. Yeah, that I sort of picked away at because that was almost all white. Yeah, kind of like I'm doing on Ocarina of Time right now, where I'm doing black, and I'm coming on to 2 years. I started that one end of February 2023, so yeah, coming on to 2 years, and I was able to get about, I'd say, a quarter of that background done. So yeah, like I've said, people have asked when I'm going to start doing the colors on that one. It's still going to be a while. Yeah, like probably another 4 years before we get to any colors on that one. But yeah, so when people say, you know, how do you tackle the big background? And I say, yeah, a thread a day. It slowly adds up, and then you don't feel bored slogging through all of that at once. Yeah. It's slow, but it does add up. And of course, sometimes when I go to visit people or travel, I'll take that one along because I don't have to bring my pattern because I've outlined it and I'm just filling in all the black. So yeah, and I don't have to bring all my colors either, just the black. So that makes a good travel project. So that's one that I have on my Morgan double hoop stand thing, because you can collapse it and then set it up again, and so you can take it anywhere, which is really nice. So I wouldn't want to do all of my stitching on it, but it works well for that. I know there are some people who do, but yeah, I do like my floor stand setup right now, but yeah, I tried a few lap stands where like you sit on part of it, but none of them were high enough for me, I found. And also they just didn't want to stay holding it straight. It would always collapse on me, even with a ruler. I tried to do the same ruler trick, but it didn't work, so yeah. Yeah, sometimes it can take a bit until you get your preferred setup, because there's all sorts of different ways. Some people stitch in hand with no hoops at all, and yeah. Some people stitch with just a hoop, no stand. And so yeah, there's lots of different ways. You just gotta find what works for you. I know a lot of people like the big scroll rods that can hold the whole width of the piece at once. Yeah, that's not for me, because yeah, like I said, I find if I can't rest my left elbow down on something, it starts to hurt my back and my neck. So yeah, speaking of which, I do need to call and get in to see my acupuncturist again. It's starting to hurt again. Not as bad, yeah. I first went a couple of years ago and it was bad. Like I said, I couldn't look up and to the left for a few years by that point. And so nothing was helping, and I decided, okay, I'll try something different. See if the acupuncture helps, and yeah, it definitely did. But I went back again last year and it got even better, so I'm gonna go again this year, and yeah. And now I can still look up and to the left and everything, actually. I still have more movement than when I first started, but I do notice a bit more pain, especially when I'm lying down. Yeah. And so I'm thinking I should go and get some work done before it gets to the locking up stage, because that really sucks. Yeah. The first time that happened to me, I was in grade 4. I was 9. Yeah. It was very, very bad. Okay, so the color, I'm gonna kind of let it extend here because there's a feather shape like this, and then I will come and do the next feather shape and then the next one. So rather than spreading all the way across, I am just going to kind of limit myself to the one feather shape here for now. That's what I tend to like to do, because I find, yeah, if I spread across too many and I have too many live needles, it starts to get tangled, and yeah. I spend so much time untangling my threads rather than stitching, and I would rather be stitching. Much of this have I got scattered around? Somewhat, but I don't think enough that I'm going to put it in my working tray just yet. Like I said, to have this done by the end of the year, I'd have to do about 11,000 stitches per month And I've been managing about 8 to 9, so yeah, it probably won't happen. Because like I said, I have other projects. If I was working just on this, then yeah, I would have it done by the end of the year. Easy, but I am still working on Firefly, yeah. Which I am coming on to 20% after 3 years, so yeah, that means like another estimated 12 years until that's done. Oh, what was I thinking? I will never do a project that big again. Or with that many colors. Part of it is, yeah, it's 150 colors instead of around 90, and that does make a difference, I find, yeah. To change colors a lot more often, and I also find I can't actually use my multiple needle method as easily because there are so many threads, so that means I have more frequent rethreading, which of course also slows things down. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to stick to the around 90 colors from now on, because yeah. The only one I did is the Majora's Mask, and that one was 125 colors, but I didn't find it as confetti heavy. Yeah, there were a lot of big blocks in that project, and so yeah, I guess they designed it really well that there was very little confetti. I was really happy with how it turned out. Yeah, like I said, it did stitch up a little bit darker than the mock-up showed, but I was really happy with it when it was done, yeah. Yeah, it was a bit more purpley and shadowy than I thought it would be, but it looked really good. I was really happy with it. Yeah, speaking of Ocarina of Time, the other day, I was shopping and I saw a big, I had the unofficial Legend of Zelda, appreciation guide that was talking about the different, the whole franchise and stuff. And so, yeah, I bought it because I just had to, yeah. And I showed it. My husband said, "Oh, is this like, just Tears of the Kingdom?" I said, "No, it looks like it's the entire franchise, right? Right from the very first, NES game, which was it A Link to the Past? I can't remember. It was one of those, but yeah. Or maybe, no, Link's Awakening was later, I think. I can't remember exactly the order of the games, but yeah. Yeah, I had a friend who was asking about getting into it and said, "Do I have to start with the beginning ones?" I said, "No, actually, I never played the original Nintendo ones because we weren't allowed to have one. I started with N64. And I said, yeah, you don't need to do previous ones too. You can pick up anywhere because I started at Ocarina of Time. Yeah. I said it's kind of the same story. Variations on the same story over and over. So yeah, you don't really need to. There's some of them, like, if you're going to do Tears of the Kingdom, you probably should play Breath of the Wild first, but you don't have to. Yeah, I kind of teased you because if you had played Breath of the Wild, you would start the game with all the hearts you had gained there, but then you immediately lose them and are down to 3 hearts to begin with. Yeah, because I thought, wow, that'd be nice, but yeah, no. There was no way to hang on to them, so they just teased you with it. But yeah, the Majora's Mask was a smaller one. It was less than 50,000 stitches, so I was really happy with how much detail it had, considering. Yeah, more than I would have expected. Yeah, so I remember because I also enjoyed The Legend of Zelda. My sister-in-law, on my birthday card, she would always draw something. And so she drew one that had Link with a slice of birthday cake on the sword. Yeah, which was pretty cool. And it was funny because there was one, my other sister-in-law also drew stuff, and I remember when they'd come to visit me, they, my husband's youngest brother, he was goofing around. He had one of those, like, it wasn't an official Beanie Baby, but it was like that style, the floppy, and it was a frog. And he was goofing around and he threw it up in the air, and it landed on the power line. And then the beans in it sort of ran down on either side. And so that it was like really stuck there. And yeah. So then when it was my birthday, like a couple weeks later, my sister-in-law drew the frog hanging on the line saying, "Happy birthday." Yeah. But yeah, my husband had to throw sticks at it to knock it down. So, because I mean, it's a power line, right? You can't get a ladder and grab it or anything, or, you know, you can't poke at it. You don't want to electrocute yourself. So, yeah. It's like, we don't really want to call the power company to be like, yeah, there's a, you know, we need you to help retrieve a stuffed animal that's stuck on the power line. So, yeah. Yeah, it was funny. Okay. So yeah, again, this kind of loops around another feather here, but I'm probably just going to cut it off there, continue filling in here, and then shift the whole frame over at that point. Yeah. So I don't have to reach quite so far with my arm and twist my back, because it doesn't like that. Yeah, I have to be very careful of how I move my body, because things like to shift out of place very easily. So yeah, I'm going to cut it off right at that point there, I think. Oh, actually, no, I may extend it a little further, actually, because I can see one of the symbols. So I'll probably cut it off just a little bit further. Yeah. Now that I think of it. Oops. Just had to double check that that wasn't snagged on the back, because it sounded kind of funny. Sometimes when it makes a funny sound like that, it means the thread caught itself and tangled up, but this time it didn't, so we're good to go. So yeah, actually, I'll go about as far as this grid line here and not even fill in all of this, just kind of work a bit, and then I'm gonna fill in everything to the left of that, and then move the frame, and then continue on. So I end up moving my frame about every week, I would say. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It just, yeah, it depends on how much progress I can make. And yeah, how much stitching time I have, whether it's a big block of color and I could get it done quickly or not. Okay, so I think this thread I'm going to park and leave to do the stuff to the right of it. I'll start a new thread to work my way downwards with that one. Okay, so that is there. And so fairly colorful area here, but there were some sort of runs of the same color, so it's kind of a balance in progress here. so yeah, like I said, I decided to do change mode there. There we go. So this color here, don't need to be holding on to 2 needles here. Actually, now that I think of it, I may not actually have to park this one. Yeah, I was going to, but actually I might just sort of extend this over and do these stitches here and not have to add a new thread until this one runs out. Yes, because now that I'm looking at it, yeah, so that often happens. As I stitch, I'll realize there's actually a different path I can take that is more economical with the thread, and so I will do that if that is the case. Oh, stretch a little. There. Trying to make the needle tip come up on the other side of the grid line so I don't stitch over it. It's not the end of the world if I do, but the less of it that I've stitched over, the easier it is to remove later, so. So yeah, I added a new thread up there. So this one, just gonna double check that that one's long enough. Yeah, so I'm gonna tie this one off. I don't need both attached, so. ready to take a break soon. I gotta get back to my scanning pictures. Finish cataloging all that and then be done with it. I've been promising myself that I would get it done for years, so yeah. So yeah, 182. That's a pretty good number. Well, look at that. I'm at 59.59. Haha, cool. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today and hope to see you here next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.